Zaka yeyo mwana wa muntu abashara byakwishwa benyenga shafishwa. You watching? Oh, MMZ. Zaka yeyo mwana wa muntu abashara byakwishwa benyenga twanya na bonja ishiba. Zaka yeye subscribe to our channel MG90.
Well, clearly Edgar Lungu, as much as he's dead, will dominate this year's general elections. And the way things are playing out, everybody is trying to utilize his clout. That's at least from the opposition point of view. So you can see Grants on television there say, even in death, your remarkable exceptionalism persists. We miss you, sir. So pretty much you can see him dominating the conversation as we head into August general elections. What is Shimbakambwe is being attributed with that statement, according to the revelation, daily revelation. They say Shimbakambwe has blamed Edgar Lungu for the problems in Patriotic Front PF, saying had the late former head of state remained in retirement, the party would have chosen a leader, according to daily liberation report there. So this was the headline that was published, should have been like 2 days ago, or carrying that headline, where Shimbakambwe has been attributed with that statement that has been given to say he's blaming Edgar Lungu for getting back into active politics and PF not going to the convention. But this conversation is neither here or there, if we're being honest. If you remember, right after Edgar Lungu lost power, he went into retirement. He even started farming and started posting videos related to farming and stuff like that. But then again, it's the people that are around him that encourage him to get into active politics. And he also wanted the PF to go to the convention right there in 2021. But they kept on delaying it. I don't know if it was their strategy, and it cost them a lot. Mao Sampa took over the party, and then later on, Chavinga has taken over the party. Now they're fighting to get it back. And the likelihood of the PF being on the ballot paper doesn't look promising. Anyway, the verdict for the PF, the judgment in that case is coming up, should be next week, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. But this blame game is a waste of time at this point, because Shimbakambwe is part of the people that encouraged Edgar Lungu. If you remember, when he announced him getting into active politics after retirement from as head of state, it was at Michael Sada's memorial, if you remember, at Embassy Park. And it seems like this blame game is ensued. What is on the other hand, family spokesperson, Edgar Lungu's family spokesperson, Makebi Zulu, says police must fight crime instead of trailing me. So, Patriotic Front presidential aspirant and candidate Makebi Zulu says civil servants are struggling with debt because their salaries do not reflect the importance and demand of their work. Makebi also says police officers should focus on fighting crime rather than trailing him. Speaking on Kasama Radio on Wednesday, Makebi said once in power, civil servants will be given dignity they deserve. So simply saying let the police focus on other things and as opposed to going wherever he goes. That's Makebi Zulu. What is Edgar Lungu should be Mundibile's running mate. That's according to Emmanuel JJ Banda. So now people are asking to say, was that a slip of the tongue or not? I'm pretty sure you saw that live stream that JJ Banda held, should have been like a day ago, where he was tabulating his strategy for going into August elections. And he also announced to say he has intentions to come back to Zambia and participate and filing his nomination papers to recontest the parliamentary seat in Petauke. Now, I do not know how that's going to work. In as much as Parliament is going to dissolve in May, the president is still in charge until the next head of state comes in. So the president and the vice president are still boss. Yes, the ministers will not hold their offices according to our constitution, but the head of state will still be presiding over until the next election. That's if he loses in August, then there can be a change. So I don't know how he intends to fight in his nomination, because the police are still going to demand that he gets arrested, because right now, according to the way things reflect, he ran away from police custody in Chipata when he was under police custody in Chipata Hospital, and he's been in exile since then. So he announced to say he has intentions of coming back and contesting his seat in Petauke, where he was encouraging the people to say, based on the way he delivered in the constituency, it's only right that the people of Petauke show up for him also. This is the time he needs them. That can be right, and he can win definitely if he is allowed to recontest. Now the question is, once he flies back into Zambia, will the police just let him be? That's another question. So during the same live stream, he ended up emphasizing several points. The question that is being asked to say, was that a slip of a tongue or not? He says Edgar Lungu, in as much as he cannot recontest as a presidential candidate, he can be a running mate, and he suggested Edgar Lungu being a running mate to Brian Mundwire. So I do not know how that works. How can you have a dead person on the ballot paper? I don't get the logic, but anyway, he argues to say, I think he gave an example of, is it in Senegal, where the opposition leader was arrested, he put a person that to represent him, and then he became a running mate. But that's a different case. Being in prison and being dead cannot be equated as the same thing. But he doubles down to say, so according to him, it's supposed to be Brian Mundwire as a presidential candidate, then Edgar Lungu as his running mate, and then everybody else supports him. He was even appealing to Makebi Zulu to step aside, and if he wants to be minister without portfolio or whatever ministry that he wants to be minister of justice, he can be minister of justice under Brian Mundwire's leadership. But I don't see how that card plays out. Having a dead person as a president, as a vice or a running mate, I don't think that would be allowed by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. But anyway, that was JJ Banda's argument, simply saying it should be Makebi Zulu and Edgar Lungu. Yes, they can use Edgar Lungu's clout on the ground, yes, if they unite, but using him as a candidate at vice president level, I don't think that's possible. And neither do I think it will be possible for a person that is not eligible to be president to be a running mate, because realistically speaking, the way our constitution has been changed recently, the vice president is literally a president in waiting. If anything happens to the sitting head of state, the vice president automatically becomes the head of state. We don't hold elections until the next cycle of elections. So if a person that is vice president is not eligible to be president, then how does that work? So I don't get that logic. But overall, what I got from JJ Banda's appeal was like, he's tired of living in exile and he wants to come back home. And he cannot afford for the opposition to miss the what he called the penalty now in August for them to regain power, so that the people that are in exile can come back. He made a number of points, but that argument to say Edgar Lungu being a running mate, I don't see how that flies, quite honestly. But on the other hand, the Livingstone mayor's case, if you remember, she was in court for a couple of months on allegations of corrupt practice or soliciting corruption. And she won the case, should have been just last week. But the court case caused a lot of public stare. Like, how did she win that court case, considering that she was found wanting on a number of grounds that amount to corruption? And pretty much the public outcry did not sit well with that verdict. And Anti-Corruption Commission has acted on it. So Mass newspaper carried that headline to say, graft crusade aimed at rivals. It's selective, targets political opponents, says that's CCAC. So people are simply skeptical about that judgment. How does that work? So finally, due to public pressure, finally, Anti-Corruption Commission had to act, because if you remember, even members of the UPND were like, how does that work? Like, are we willing to lose the public graces based off this individual? Why are we defending her? It does not make sense. If you remember, Mashake asked that question. George Mutonga from the US also asked that question to say, why are we defending this? What political clout does she hold that we need to sacrifice our public face to defend what the public simply deemed to say corrupt practice? That is very evident. Why are we trying to defend that? So they distance themselves And as a result, the Anti-Corruption Commission, reported by the ZNBC, the ZNBC were the first to report this. So the Anti-Corruption Commission has appealed against the acquittal of Livingstone Mayor Constance Mkelewai on corruption charges. The Anti-Corruption Commission has filed an appeal in the Livingstone High Court Economic and Financial Crimes Division, raising 6 grounds of appeal. Among the grounds, the commission argued that the subordinate court erred in law by acquitting Ms. Mkelewai when there was prima facie evidence that she had committed corruption. A week ago, the Livingstone Magistrate Court acquitted Ms. Mkelewai on 6 counts of corruption. So pretty much the way this court case stuck in public did not sit well. People did it even led people asking questions related to the court case for Maria Zromes, the daughter to the Electoral Commission of Zambia chairpersons, where she did something on a farm and then a person died and then she was arrested, charged with murder. That charge was reduced to, I think, manslaughter, if I'm not mistaken. I stand to be corrected on that. But yeah, that charge was moved from murder to manslaughter and she's now on bail. So that court case didn't sit well with the public in as much as it's still active. Then this one comes up. It's beginning to look like they are same people that are immune to facing the wrath of the law when they are found wanting. So now the DPP and the SEC say court erred in quitting her, and they've appealed. And from the look of things, if they are trying to defend her, the best would have been to let the court convict her, yes, and then the president has got the power. He can, acquit her. That presidential pardon, not acquittal. Presidential pardon, that the powers that the president has, where he pardons a number of inmates. Maybe that can work. So she stays. But the fact that her walking away from that case without a verdict of arrest does not sit well with the public. And that's where this is all coming back in, taking it back to court. So if they're trying to defend her and they value her, let her get arrested and convicted. Then as Parliament dissolves by May, she spends a couple of 3 months in prison. Then in May, the president has got the power, right before the dissolution of Parliament. He can acquit her. It is what it is. But otherwise, her just walking scot-free without come on, guys. Come on. And then in the comment section, people say, this case will resume after 2031. So people was simply saying, she's simply wasting her time. The best would have been have that judgment against her, spend a couple of months, it's just about 2 months, if not 3 months, till the dissolution of Parliament, then get a presidential pardon. People wouldn't question that. I mean, it is what it is. But otherwise, her walking away, they say, okay, fine. Let's say this drags on. In 2031, the law will come and apply again, if the UPND government changes, according to Isaac Nkoma. So she might as well just deal with this court case right from the front. So according to this report, to say some of the details, the Director of Public Prosecution, Gilbert Piri, and the Anti-Corruption Commission have indicated their intention to appeal against the acquittal of Livingstone Mayor Constance Mkelewai in a matter where Ms. Mkelewai is accused of soliciting 120,000 kwacha and corruptly obtaining, you get? So there are 2 questions there. So corruptly obtaining 180,000 kwacha cash gratification from Mark Gilberts as an inducement to facilitate the 100% remission of property rates owed by Zamnook Farm Limited to the Livingstone City Council, which had accumulated to over 388,000 kwacha. So you could see that. I don't know on how she beat that court case. Finally, DPP and the SEC have said, hey, no, we're taking it up again. So if people are trying to defend her, let her just simply get that verdict. What is the still time? Get into prison for a couple of months and count on the presidential pardon. That's it. Otherwise, trying to walk away without a verdict of conviction. Anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, that's the only way she can walk away. And it's a better bet, quite honestly. Get into prison now, then count on presidential pardon by May. Just a couple of months, but otherwise walking away without any conviction, that will not work. And yeah, public pressure keeps on mounting. It is simple as that. It's not dying down. So whoever is around her, they might as well just advise her to take that plea of guilty and get that verdict done. Otherwise, walking away, it will not work. And especially now with the public watching this court case, and it's bringing the pressure to also that Maria's romance case also. So based off that, I don't know how that works. Anyway, I don't infirm. That's according to Cornelius Mweta. Cautions the media as we head into the election. Real Times, man kills daughter with shovel. That's in the Real Times. And then why is secrecy on Bill 7 vote? Msoni asks. That's in the Daily Nation. And pretty much that's the news, ladies and gentlemen. Have a beautiful day.